many of you have seen me appear on Piers Morgan's show, Piers Uncensored, this year. I've watched me have some pretty lively debates on that show with him as a guest. Well, today I'm delighted to say that the tables have turned. Piers Morgan is joining me here as a guest on my show, Mayor the Unfiltered, here in New York City. Piers, welcome to the show.
Well, to be honest, you've dominated the interviews we do on my show so much people think that was on your show anyway.
Well, let's see if you can return the favour today. There is much to discuss. I want to talk about the two big issues that you've covered on your show this year that's made your show huge around the world. And it's two issues I talk about often when I come on your show, but I want to hear your views. So this is a great opportunity for us and for our audience. There is a question you have repeatedly asked all your Palestinian and pro-Palestinian guests, and you've had a lot of them, to be fair. People have praised you for that. But there's one question you ask almost all of them, to the point where it's become a bit of a joke, a bit of a meme. So let me start by asking you a version of that question. Do you condemn Benjamin Netanyahu's terrorism against the children of Gaza?
Well, I wouldn't categorise it as you do as terrorism, although I do think that they've committed some acts which I do think are acts of terrorists. For example, the aggressive, violent expansion on the settlements on the West Bank. I think you could inarguably say, well, that's a form of terrorism. My hesitation in using that categorisation for what Israel has done in Gaza is that, as I've said to Palestinian guests, I'm not sure how else people expected or how else the Israeli government should have responded to the terror attack of October the 7th, given the monumental scale of what happened that day. It seemed to me Hamas knew exactly what Israel would do, didn't care about its civilians, was hiding amongst them, had a tunnel system and thought, bring it on, let's have this out. So I've always felt that Israel not only had a right to defend itself, but had a moral duty to defend its people.
By killing Palestinian kids?
Piers attempts to cloak military aggression as moral duty. Let's call this what it is, an evasive tactic. While defending Israel's action, he dismisses the disproportionate civilian death toll. Is defense a catch-all excuse for killing children? This seeks of double standards.
Well, listen, my brother served tours of Iraq and Afghanistan in the British Army, as did my brother-in-law. There are military all through my family. They've all taken part in conflicts where civilians, including children, have been killed. I think the particular problem in Gaza is that half the population are under 18, of 2 million, and that clearly a disgusting amount of children have been killed in this conflict. So my answer to your question, I wouldn't categorise it as terrorism to respond to a terror attack by going to kill the terrorists. However, has it got completely unacceptable, the level of civilian death that has been going on in Gaza, particularly children? I say yes, and this has to stop.
What is the acceptable level of death?
Well, I don't know. That's why I've always said from the start, what is proportionate? What do people expect people to do? I mean, for example, when America, after 9/11, went into Iraq, as you know, I waged a campaign at the Daily Mirror newspaper against it. I thought it was an illegal...
But you haven't waged a campaign against this?
Well, because the point about Iraq was they didn't perpetrate 9/11. Nothing to do with it. So it's
about the goal, not the conduct of the war. I'm asking you about the conduct.
Yeah,
right? I don't want to have an argument about the goals.
I understand.
I'm saying if you kill, for example, you saw the video, because I know you're on social media as much as I am, a video that the Washington Post verified of a little kid, 13 years old, is attacked by a drone, minding his own business. He's not Hamas. There's no Hamas hiding behind him. He's attacked. As he's bleeding out and people come to help him, they attack again. That's a double tap. It's what Al-Qaeda and ISIS do, double tap strike. How is that not an act of terror?
Well, because
2 kids are killed deliberately.
Listen, I've seen a lot of videos. Some of them are...
But that one specifically, is that an act of terror in your view?
It is in your eyes.
No, I'm asking your view.
Well, no, I haven't seen the one you're talking about. What I would say about it is that I want to see all of these things properly investigated and to establish whether there have been war crimes committed. And if there have been, absolutely hold the people who perpetrated it to account.
So you think Yahya Sinwar is a terrorist, right?
Yeah.
And there was an arrest warrant request for Yahya Sinwar from the International Criminal Court Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan, British lawyer. He's also put out an arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu. He's accused Netanyahu, well, he's asked for one. The court is being lobbied not to do it. He's put out an arrest. He's asked for an arrest warrant, and the indictments he's put out include, this is what he's accused Netanyahu of: starvation, murder, willful killing, extermination. How is Netanyahu not a terrorist, Piers?
Well, it may end up being that he is convicted of war crimes that suggest he's a terrorist.
But Sinwar wasn't convicted of.
Well, Sinwar.
I'm just being consistent. The ICC chief prosecutor put out warrant requests for both.
Here's the difference. Hamas made no secret of what they did on October the 7th. Sinwar directed and ordered that attack. No one disputes that. No, yeah, but what the difference is that Hamas said, here are the GoPro cameras. We are going to show the world what we're doing here.
So is Israel. I just mentioned a video where a kid is killed on camera. Yeah. In fact, Israeli soldiers have put out TikToks of their war crimes, Piers.
You're not going to get me to say that what Israel's been doing is terrorism, because I believe they are defending
Why
their
not,
people.
though, is what I'm wondering. Because, it seems to be just a stubborn resistance.
Because any country in the world that had October the 7th perpetrated against them would do what Israel has done.
No, they wouldn't.
Yes, they would.
They would have killed kids at this level.
No, if you had literally a country on your border.
Well, it's not a country on your border, it's occupied territory. I think you've conceded yourself in previous
I have actually said to you, I believe it is occupied territory.
Okay, then, so it's not a country on your border.
Let's call it, what do you want to call it?
Occupied territory.
Okay, well, let's call it Gaza. Okay? That on one single day, in 13 different entry points, 3,000 people came through and committed as much mayhem and murder as they could possibly commit in a deliberate attempt to destabilize and take down Israel, which is the intention of their original charter. If that happened on any border, shared border in the world, there is no country in the world that would not have responded with military force in the way that Israel has done.
I don't agree with that. But let me say you're right. Well, every country would have done that. Doesn't make it not terrorism.
No, but then what you're saying is that any country that then goes after terrorists that perpetrate that kind of attack automatically themselves become terrorists.
No.
Piers creates a straw man here. No one argues that self-defense equals terrorism. The point is intent and execution. Israel's targeting a child with a drone and attacking rescuers isn't defense. It's deliberate escalation. This refusal to acknowledge war crimes damages his credibility.
I dispute that categorization.
No, I'm saying that's a straw man.
Well, give me an example where they're not terrorists.
I just gave you an example. They could have responded to Hamas without attacking a kid, killing the kid, and when people come to rescue him, attacking them as well. I can be here all day. We don't have the time.
So
I can go through. They didn't need to attack an apartment building.
When American
We're
forces,
not doing whataboutism. We're not doing whataboutism.
When they went after ISIS, but they killed a lot of innocent children in the process.
I think those were acts of war crimes. I think war crimes are acts of terror. Yes.
So if you go after,
I don't think.
So if you go after any terror group in the world.
No, I'm saying if you hold on, Piers. The definition of terrorism, according to every dictionary, is the use of political violence against civilians for political goals. That is what Netanyahu is doing. He said it openly. Israelis have said it on your show.
Well, he's responding to a terrorist attack.
By doing more terrorism.
He's
killed 33 times as many people as Yahya Sinwar.
Let me be clear.
But Sinwar's a terrorist,
not
Netanyahu.
Netanyahu should absolutely no longer be Prime Minister of Israel.
Should he be at the ICC?
Probably, yeah.
So if the warrant comes down, you support the UK arresting him if he comes to the UK?
I absolutely think that his alleged war crimes, and I use that because they've not been substantiated, his alleged war crimes should absolutely be investigated.
This doesn't make any sense. I agree with you. No. I agree with you that they haven't been substantiated, but I'm being consistent. I'm saying everyone, Hamas, Israel, should be substantiated in investigation. You're saying one side's terrorists based on GoPro, but the other side's not terrorists, even though we've watched them kill thousands of people on camera. Literally, I've seen it. I saw them gun down an old lady holding a white flag.
Hamas have made no secret that what they did was terrorism.
Nor of Israel. Have you listened to Israeli soldiers? You should watch our documentary. It's called Israel's Real Extremism. It shows Israeli soldiers talking proudly about what they've done in Gaza. It's not just the T word, Piers, that you've been reluctant to use in relation to Israel, but also the G word. Genocide.
It's not genocide.
Why are you, so let's talk about that. Why are you perfectly happy to call what Russia is doing in Ukraine a genocide, but not what Israel's doing in Gaza when there are fewer civilians, far fewer kids killed in Ukraine than in Gaza, arguably way less genocidal rhetoric from the Russian government than we hear from the Israeli government? Why are you so uncensored on Russia but not on Israel? What are you afraid of?
I actually thought when you first jumped me with that, it was a good point. I hadn't realised I'd used the word genocide in relation to what was going on in Russia. And I did go away and think about that quite carefully. Because you've got to be careful about the word genocide. The word genocide is where you deliberately exterminate a group of people based on ethnicity.
Piers misrepresents genocide by reducing it to total annihilation. The legal definition includes acts intended to destroy a group in part, which aligns with targeting a population's infrastructure, children, and future. Why sidestep international law here? The hypocrisy is overwhelmingly glaring.
And the reality about, let's take Gaza first of all. If Israel actually wanted to get rid of everyone in Gaza, they have the military power to do that. They have nuclear weapons. They could just nuke Gaza, as some of them, I suspect, would quite like to do. They've got some massively right-wing headbangers in that government, Ben-Gvir, Smodrich and others, who I suspect wouldn't hesitate to wage a form of genocide. So I accept that completely. But the reality is that there are 2 million people in Gaza, of which, depending which estimate you want to believe, but the official records from the Hamas-run health authority, there are about 45,000 people have died, of which it is estimated that around 15 to 20,000 are Hamas, and the rest are civilians.
They're estimated by Israel, but okay.
Okay, but there are different figures put out. But let's assume it's in that ballpark. Okay.
No.
Well, okay, but
You can say that.
Here's my point. It's not 2 million people, which Israel
But that's
has.
not the definition of genocide.
Well, isn't it?
No. The Genocide Convention doesn't say you have to kill everyone.
Thanks for watching Z's Political Arrow. If you're tired of media spin and want the raw truth about geopolitics, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Let us know in the comments, is Piers right to defend Israel's action, or is this a textbook case of selective outreach? Stay tuned for part 2, where we rip into more excuses and call out the inconsistencies. Until next time, keep questioning everything. Bye for now.